Hi, I'm Anthony Originello, CEO of the Chartered Professionals in Human Resources for BC and Yukon. We represent more than 8,000 members, and as the organization dedicated to advancing the HR profession through education, advocacy, awareness, professional development, as well as our recognized and impactful CPHR designation, we are proud to be a sponsor of this show. We have been the voice of the HR profession since 1942. Learn more about us at cphrbc.ca.
In this edition of Careers That Matter, I'm joined by Ajay Patel, the president of Vancouver Community College. Ajay, welcome.
Hi, Stuart. Good morning, and thank you for having me.
What does your job look like? You're the president of a community college. So what do you do on a daily basis?
If you were to ask my kids, they would probably just say I sit in meetings all day.
You probably do sit in a lot of meetings.
I do sit meetings. I have the privilege and the opportunity to be able to be the president of what is Vancouver's and British Columbia's oldest public post-secondary at Vancouver Community College, which originally was Vancouver Central School. And so the opportunity to be in education has been a passion of mine. And so to lead Vancouver Community College in an area where I grew up and just to be able to influence the opportunity of the next generation of learners is wonderful. In terms of the day-to-day job, a lot of it is around managing the internal operations with the team that we have to make sure that we are delivering the quality of education that our learners need and that our community and industry expects. I think that's one key element. Second element is a lot of the external relation pieces. I think one of the things that we continue to need to do better is to tell our Vancouver Community College story and the impact that we have had on this community for over 140 years. And then the third one, I love interacting with the students. So sometimes I'm limited in that opportunity, but when I get an opportunity to be able to talk to a student or an alumni or someone we just had graduation last week, so talk to a graduate, it is so inspiring to see these individuals that makes everything else worthwhile. And so that is the fun part of my job.
So as president, though, you don't get to go into the classroom very often or into the learning environment because you're running the whole organization.
Yeah, I get to get peeks into it, but having come from faculty, I know how I felt when the president walked into my classroom, but I do get to see what we do get to offer in learnings and if we have new technology, because if I don't know what's happening in our institute, it's really hard for me to advocate and even articulate what we do. And so I do get to get that. But I think the most important thing is I get to talk to the students and understand what is it that they learned in that classroom that made a difference in their lives, and for us to make sure that we have that kind of pulse.
So how many different teams do you have that report to you? Because that's the real key of this. Yeah. Are you getting the teams all aligned and working towards a common objective? But what is the dynamism of these different teams? How significant is it?
So VCC overall is 1,700 employees, of which most of them are faculty and support staff, and then we have administration as well. The team that directly reports to me are vice presidents, but I say our senior team is individuals of 11, so that's people that would be executive directors and that. But I think the most important piece I want to be able to, I've got an amazing team that have taken on responsibilities to help move things along within the organization. We have a vice president for academic. We have a vice president for business development and international. We have a vice president for community and student development. We have an associate vice president for students. We have an executive director for marketing communications. And these individuals are helping push the agenda of VCC, not only from helping operationalize the education elements, but also trying to gather the resources that we need. I can't say enough about the team. If everybody knows me, I'm a sport guy, and it's all about building the right team. And I jokingly say that the best kind of team is when I don't have to make the decision, and they've made the decision for me.
And those are all fantastic elements, and you want them driving the best possible results. What portion of your job is focused in on making sure that you have the revenue that you need and that your budget is staying balanced or hopefully a little bit to the positive side so that you got a bit of a rainy day fund?
That's always on the back of my mind, but really I get that we have weekly senior team meetings, so we all make sure that we're sharing information, that we're all on the same page, and then obviously if there's any budget changes or any major disruptions coming, that we can work collectively together. So these weekly meetings really help us try and not only help each other from a synergistic perspective, but also keep me informed in what are 2 or 3 pressing issues of the week or the month, and how we might go to collectively try and come to a solution or an option.
In the world in which we live, you get a certain amount of revenue from the courses, from governments and so on, but you need to also generate other support. What role fundraising in your role?
Fundraising is starting to become more and more of an important role. Traditionally, community colleges haven't been your typical robust fundraising arms like a UBC or a Simon Fraser University, but I think now in these financial constraining times, you're starting to see an evolution of that. And so we do have a VCC Foundation Association. It's a separate entity that helps support VCC initiatives. It's got now about a $15 million endowment to start, and so we are starting to work a lot more. The last couple of years has been a lot more about that. Letting people know the story of VCC, reconnecting with our alumni, and trying to just build that database of VCC power. And then at some point, we will be looking at how we can embark on fundraising campaigns.
Well, so that's a little bit of your outward-facing job. Another part of your outward-facing job is doing interviews like this, and interacting with the community at large.
Yeah, I enjoy that part of it because I get to tell the VCC story. I get to interact with individuals like you. But I think the most important thing is I'm a relationship person. I feed off the energy of individuals, and I really care about what we do at the institution. I've grown up in this neighborhood, so I came here in the 70s, and so I know what East Vancouver is like, and I know what it's turned into and the opportunities it's presented, not just for me and my family, but for so many of us. And so I thrive on that opportunity, and really I also learn from individuals in these conversations. So I many times get more out of it than people get from me probably.
Well, that's a perfect point for me to segue to like the arc of your career. You graduated from high school in Vancouver.
Yeah, Windermere Secondary in East Vancouver.
Did you, when you were graduating, going, yeah, okay, there, I'm going to wind up president of VCC. Was that your
I
objective?
would have said you're crazy.
So what happened? Like, you graduate from high school, what'd you go do?
So, first of all, I graduated high school, I went to college, and I flunked out my first semester of college, so I should tell you that. Anyway, then I was able to make it back. And I came from a South Asian family, and many times you were pushed in the direction of being a doctor, lawyer, engineer, and so that didn't work out well for me. So I went and actually then ran a family business in Osoyoos. We had a small motel, and so I ran that for a couple of years, and then mom and dad said, you need to go back to school. So I came back and I went to college, and I did what was actually VCC Langara campus at that time. And so I did the university transfer program in kinesiology, and of course people wonder what kinesiologists do. Anyway, I had this passion for sport. I played it, I coached, and so this was kind of my calling, and I really credit one of my instructors, Dr. Harry Lenvoy, who's now retired, who really helped me embrace that and saw it as an opportunity. I went on and fortunately finished my degree at UBC in kinesiology in the area of health sciences. And literally, as I graduated, Harry, who saw me at Langara, was sitting on this board for Sport Medicine Council BC and said, hey, we've got an interesting opportunity for a sport medicine coordinator. Would you come and work for us? And so that started my career in the sports sector, and I slowly went from there and into nonprofit sport organizations with a couple of sport organizations.
So were you actually using your kinesiology training? Or were you?
I'll say, so one of the things, I went back and did my master's in coaching sciences during this time as well. So I was probably using a combination of my coaching experience in provincial girls soccer, along with my kinesiology science background, with my coaching sciences that I learned in at UBC, and I was being able to bring all this together. And I guess if I had to sum it up, I think everything's a team sport. And so as long as I kept that in mind, it was a wonderful opportunity, and so I moved into sport administration. So soccer would have been my sport, but I was administrator in badminton, British Columbia, and then ultimately gymnastics, BC, before I made this jump back to academia.
So what made you jump back to academia then? If you're having like success that you wanted in the sporting world, why'd you go back into the academic world?
Around 2010, when we were just about to host the Olympic Paralympic Games, I was working in the sports sector, and so Harry came into my life after I finished grad, and he came back into my life. I'll never forget, in 2001, in August, he phoned me up and he said, you know, we need an emergency hire for a physical education course, and at that time it was training sheriffs and police for their physical tests. And it was a 7:30 a.m. course. He goes, would you teach that? Because I had a science background. And so I said, yeah, sure, I'll do it. And when I went and taught that course, the similarities of coaching to students in a classroom, I never made that connection, but it was like, wow, you can help students in a classroom as well, just like you help them coach. And so I was starting off with teaching one course, and slowly I started teaching a number of other courses. And next thing you knew, in 2010, I became a full-time instructor in kinesiology at Langara College. And yeah, that started my academic career.
And then you stayed with the institution.
I did.
you?
I had the privilege and the opportunity, and I think what happened in human kinetics department or the kinesiology department is that all those instructors were my instructors, and all of a sudden I became the department head, because you rotate that. And so they're
That's
like,
an
hey.
interesting dynamic change.
Well, I think they said, you're a good administrator too, so why don't you just take this on, because none of us want to do it.
Oh, they didn't
That's
want
my
it.
joke.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Anyway, that started my academic administration career, and then I fortunately had the opportunity to become what was a division chair in health sciences, which is like an associate dean, and the nursing program. And I have to tell you, I learned a lot from overseeing the nursing program, the importance of nursing programs, the rigor of it, the challenges with it, and the importance of it as well. And so I really acquired some skills there, and the president of that day thought I did well, and so there was a dean position open for international education, and the president, his name was David Ross, he's at SAIT now. He kind of called me up, he said, what do you think about becoming a dean of international education? And I'm like, don't know anything about international ed. He goes, you're the perfect guy for the job.
And you were willing to take it on.
I was, and I think that's probably the eye-opening. What I learned from nursing that allowed me to take the international education job was that in nursing, I didn't know a lot about it, but I knew how to build a team. And that's really when it came to light, where if I could understand what the nurses want, where the institution wanted to go, maybe I could bridge that gap. And so I took that learning. That was really an aha moment, and the whole piece around lifelong learning. And then when David offered the opportunity to take on international education, I took on that opportunity. And so I knew nothing about international ed, but I knew how to build a team. And so that gave me the confidence. And we had a great successful run at Langara College. And then that gave me the opportunity to then take on the foundation at Langara College, and ultimately into a vice president of external there.
And then
And then I made the move over to Vancouver Community College because of the real estate development plan that we were having happening here. And the president of that day, I was sitting across the street here, and I kind of said to him, I said, you've got this real estate here, you know, you should be able to do something with it beyond just having education. And subsequently, I got hired as a vice president. And very shortly thereafter, the president of the day decided he was moving to another province. And so I became an interim president, and then the permanent president just before the pandemic hit.
Wow. So when you take a look at your career, the arc of your career, what do you think it was about yourself? And it takes time to start to realize these things about who you are. But if you look at one or two of the key inner qualities that you've now learned that you have, what would you say those are that helped you to continue to move forward and to rise within your profession?
If I had to go back and give myself the advice I'm about to give to myself at the age of 21 or 22, this is what it would be. First of all, it is all about building teams. And when I mean the teams, it's about listening, having a diverse group of voices. Sometimes they won't always agree with you, but you need to have all those voices to help make the best decision. It doesn't matter at what level, whether you're a frontline person interacting with the public or you're the president of a community college, you need to understand what is happening, and you need the voices. So you have to be open to listening, and then you have to make sure that you be part of a team. I am part of a team. I consider myself being part of a team, not just a leader of a team. So I'll say that. The second thing I think is being able to be adaptable. We're living in a world where you've got to be able to go with the ebbs and flows. And if I look back on my career, I think it was my adaptability combined with a little bit of persistence that allowed me to be where I am today, because there was no way a kid graduating from Windermere Secondary, flunking out first semester college, would see themselves as a president of a community college today.
And yet you are.
And so I would encourage everybody that persistence and that adaptability is going to be absolutely critical. And maybe if I can add a third thing, one thing I learned from my grandfather, he always said that if a door is open, always step in, because you never know what's on the other side of that door. If you don't like it, you can always step out. But if you don't step in, you never know what you're going to miss. So I kept that to heart.
Wow. That's a fantastic insight. So thanks for sharing what your current job looks like. I'm sure you don't sleep much. You probably don't work just Monday to Friday.
No, but you know what? I've been president for 6.5 years, and I can't recall the last time I woke up thinking, oh my God, I got to go to work. I woke up every morning with a smile on my face and love coming to work. Because once you see those students, there's nothing that is more benefiting and inspiring than seeing those students learn. So I love it.
Isn't that fantastic? Thanks for giving us a glimpse into your world and your career.
Thank you for the opportunity, and I encourage everybody to follow their passion and dreams.